welcome to a regular meeting of the Fulton County Urban. Good morning, and welcome to the Fulton County Urban Redevelopment Agency Board regular meeting. Today's Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. It is 9:31 a.m. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman Rob Pitts.
Present.
Commissioner Liz Houseman.
Present.
Commissioner Bob Ellis. Commissioner Lee Morris. Vice Chair Natalie Hall.
Present.
Commissioner Marvin Arrington Jr. Commissioner Khadijah Abdul Rahman.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First item is the adoption of the agenda. Any objections to the agenda as it's printed? If not, it will stand adopted. Next item, ratification of the June 2nd, 2021 minutes. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, let's vote, please. Madam Clerk. All right, those in favor say aye, opposed no. Minutes are approved. New business. All right, Madam, is that you, Madam CFO?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have a brief presentation for the agency, and Ms. Roach is going to take us through that document.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about some adjustments that have been made to the budgets for each of the projects in our, what we've called the FACURA 2 bond. There were 4 projects initially approved, and we have since had to make adjustments for various reasons. So wanted to, before a decision was made, brief the board on the background of those adjustments so that you're informed as you consider your approval for the amendments that's before you. Next slide. Next slide. So as you recall, when the board first approved the second phase of the urban redevelopment bond issue, the projects contemplated were the animal shelter, the public safety training center, a Fulton County emergency operations center, as well as an air handling unit project, which was a switch from FACURA 1. The assembly hall was completed in FACURA 1 as opposed to FACURA 2, and this air handling unit was the second project that was swapped with that. So this project will be completed as a part of FACURA 2 as opposed to 1. If you look at the chart that's presented there, the original budgets when the board approved the 4 projects were as indicated. The original estimate for the animal services facility was $32.5 million. The original estimate for the public safety training center was $12.5. The emergency operations center had an estimate of $6 million, and the air handling unit was estimated at $4 million. Since that time, a couple of things have happened. Most significantly, obviously, the pandemic leading to labor shortages as well as availability of materials. The other thing that has happened is that we've identified a construction management team for the animal services facility. So as you recall, the first estimate was provided by the team doing the feasibility study. And so that estimate was correct as of that time. Now that the construction team is on board and their expertise and collaboration with the feasibility study team, they have updated the estimates based on actual construction factors. And then in addition to that, you do have the availability of materials challenge as well. So we've seen that estimate grow from the 32 million original to the 38.6 that's indicated there now. The Public Safety Training Center as well, because of material availability, that estimate has grown to $13.2 million. We did not do a formal re-estimate of the Emergency Operations Center, realizing very early that that project would be at risk given the increases in the other projects. And then the air handling unit swap, that's a sort of a time and materials thing, went from $4.4 million to 5.1. So the new estimate of the projects, as we were contemplating how we would deal with these increases, are now at $62.9 million. Next slide. One of the directives the county manager gave us as we looked at the increases we were facing in the fall of 2021 was to try to stay within the board's original approval amount of $55 million for the bond. And so with the guiding principles that are outlined on the far right of that slide, we decided to take a fresh look at the 4 projects that we were contemplating and to see what ways we could make adjustments to stay within the original 55. Principally, we wanted to make sure, again, that we stayed within the original approved amount of $55 million. We certainly wanted to prioritize the animal shelter given the significant public interest that has been expressed in that project, including the significant investment that's already been made in the feasibility and design work for the animal services facility. The other project that we had to prioritize was the Public Safety Training Center. If you recall, the current Public Safety Training Center is at the Wolf Creek Amphitheater, and we are currently working with the City of South Fulton to transfer that facility to the City of South Fulton, and so we do need a new home for our Public Safety Training Center. We also had to prioritize the project swap from Procura One. So given all those considerations, the team got together to figure out how we could, again, fit within the $55 million and prioritize those projects outlined. We did ask the folks responsible for executing the animal shelter to work within a $37.6 million budget. The team responsible for executing the Public Safety Training Center to work within a $12.2 million budget. And essentially what we did there was reduce each project by $1 million. And so within construction savings, design savings, and the like, we've set those 2 budgets that way. We've eliminated for consideration in this bond the Emergency Operations Center project. Given the lack of immediacy of the Emergency Operations Center need, and also given the fact that we believe that we can fund this project by other means. So we've got a infrastructure package that just came down that we believe that depending on what options are outlined, we may be able to secure funding through that means for the Emergency Operations Center. We also have a reserve within our ARPA funds that's contingent on reimbursement from FEMA. If we get the level of reimbursement that we anticipate from FEMA, there may be funding freed up in ARPA that will allow us to kick off the Emergency Operations Center. And we also believe that if we look at the transportation funding that was transferred before, along with some combination of perhaps general fund and FIB funds, that we may be able to fund this project in another way. So a couple of different options there, which led us to justify removing it from the project list. And the air handling unit is fairly simple. We decided to fund that project at the $5.1 million level. So that's essentially the amendments that we have made that we're requesting your approval for at this time. The next slide simply states what the next steps are for each of the projects once we get your approval today. Essentially, we're targeting a groundbreaking for the animal control facility mid-December of this year, and hopefully if all goes well, we'll be able to do that. We've already gotten the team on board to do the design estimates for the Public Safety Training Center, and we're looking to have the air handling notice to proceed sometime in January of next year. Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll turn it back over to the CFO or the county manager if they have any additional remarks.
All right, Madam CFO, Mr. Manager.
I don't have anything else to add. I think that Ms. Roach did an excellent job summarizing what the changes are that are before the board today, and the resolution, that's the action item, embodies that change.
All right, any questions, Commissioners? Commissioner Morris?
Good morning, Commissioners. I just want to point out that as part of our next steps, we are currently polling board members for availability of your time so that we can have a special call meeting on December 1st to accept the best offer on the bids that we currently have on the street right now.
Okay.
So we're doing the polling, and we hope that we'll be able to schedule another meeting for 9:30 on December 1st.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any questions? Commissioner Morris?
Apparently, folks are willing to work with that $1 million decrease in each case. My experience for decades was that very few construction projects end up without some problems down the road, adjustments down the road, change orders, and so on. What do we do if that's the case? Do we just make them cut something else? Value engineering, but that's tough sometimes when the project's well under construction, of course. So how realistic are these numbers, and what happens if there are some additional costs? Where do we get that money?
Well, I mean, I'd certainly like to hear from Bill Mason, who's also here, the county manager, but quite frankly, we have optimized the design for the animal control center to last us the next 40, 50 years. I think if something happens that is unanticipated or out of our control, I think that we probably would have the flexibility to make adjustments to the design that would not totally impact the impact that we're trying to make with the animal control center at this point.
All right, other questions or comments, Commissioners? All right, none, I'll entertain a motion to approve. All right, motion to approve by Vice Chair Hall. Is there a second? I'll second. Seconded by Commissioner Morris. Those in favor say aye, opposed no. It's approved. Thank you. Any other items? All right. You get all those ayes, man. Yeah, we did. Motion without objection. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.